Thanks. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting of the Fargo Library Board of Directors to order. Let's go ahead and do a roll call to see who's present. Rachel Steenholt, are you present?
I'm present.
Carrie Peterson?
I am here as well.
Carlos Hawley Jr.?
Yes, I'm here as well.
Scott Bollier?
Yep, here.
Whitney Oxendahl?
Here.
Great. And Kristen Schipper? Doesn't sound like Kristen is here. I am Mary Batchelor and I am here, so I think that's everyone. Let's go ahead and move to the first order of the agenda, which is approving the order of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Carlos. I will second that motion. All in favor of approving the order of the agenda, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, the order of the agenda is approved. Second item is the minutes of the December 15th meeting. They are in your packet.
Rachel Steenholt, move to approve.
I'm sorry, who was that?
I think there were two of us. Rachel Steenholt was one of them.
Okay, Rachel, thank you.
And Carrie Peterson will second.
Any, or all in favor of approving the minutes of the December 15th meeting, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. The minutes of the December 15th meeting are approved. Next up, we have the staff report with Sunny Brannick. Is Sunny there?
Hello.
Hi, Sunny.
How are you? All right.
Good.
So
Thanks for joining us.
we've got a lot of stuff going on as usual. So I'll try to get through it. This is a big packet. So the LA1 position at Maine is currently in the hiring process. And then as a general update, we are tentatively scheduled to open up on the 25th. I'm sure Tim will be talking about that later. But then just as a little FYI for you, so as of January 9th, we did run the numbers and we had over 7,000 curbside pickups across all three locations. So in case you were looking for a metric on that, there you go. It's been very successful and people have liked it very much. Upcoming in children's, we've got the library pen pals going on. So we've got a lot of librarians who are missing their kiddos and a lot of kiddos that are missing their librarians. So now they can write back and forth and they'll give them little reading recommendations. So they can just send or ask us to get them a letter and we'll send them a stamped envelope. And then they can just kind of chit chat back and forth that way. I'm sure you're familiar with the story walk that we installed earlier at Brunsdale. That's been updated, so now if you need to go on a little winter hike again, we've got a new story walk out there for you. Story Time to Go is back up again. Today they released Stomp by Uncle Ian Aurora, and next month's on the 1st we're going to have Veggie Soup by Dorothy Donahue. And those are just, in case you haven't had a chance to pick one up yet, they've just got little activities, reading recommendations, things that you can do with your kids, since they can't come for story time at the library right now. We also have upcoming one of our bigger events, our Lego design contest. So we're going to host that online. So people will just take pictures of what they've done, submit it, and we'll get that up. So just be sure that you check out the rules for that online this year because they did have to do a few extra things because they're moving it. So you can always call the children's department and they can help walk you through that. Upcoming in teens, as always, we've got our crafts going on. Registration opens up just a couple weeks before each one. The one that we have coming up on the 25th of this month is the Morse code necklace. So if you're interested in that, be sure to go ahead and get registered. In adults, we've got Spice Club meeting. So I get notifications on Discord quite often that they're chit-chatting about recipes. So this month they were doing cardamom. So I texted Lori the other day and she was making a cardamom cake, and they're going to talk about all the things and the recipes that they try out, the reading recommendations, cookbooks, that kind of thing. If you're interested in that and you didn't quite get in on this month's, check out our website to see what next month's spice is going to be and jump in on that. And it's that time of year again for our adult winter readathon. So same as always, read 5 books, fill out your bookmark. You can also let us know. You could probably email us, and you'll enter you in to get a grand prize. Northern Narratives 2021 is starting back up again. I believe this is our 5th year of doing it. So it's just local essays, poetry, short stories. Go to our website and start typing your things in, getting them submitted to us. And we've got a new program. It's called the Go and Grow Houseplant Series for people who are just stuck at home and they're really wanting a little bit more green since they can't go out and enjoy it at the greenhouses anymore. Pre-registration is required. You'll get a little plant, and this month has been all booked up. It's been very successful. So if you're looking at getting in on that, next month we will be doing a jade plant. So go ahead and go to our website and take a look at that.
Great. Lots of cool stuff going on. I love the Lego design contest. Do you guys post like pictures of the winners online or anything like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. I'd love to see that. I'm sure there's some really great designers out there. Does anybody have any questions for Sunny? No? Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Sunny. Appreciate your update. Next item on the agenda is the director's report.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, as Sunny had mentioned, the big news is we're reopening all locations as of Monday, the 25th. Limited hours with all mitigation measures in place. We'll continue limited curbside service along with all the take and go crafts and story times, because those have become so immensely popular that I think that's something that's going to exist from now on, essentially. The big things in terms of that, the decision to reopen, per our reopening plan, we met all the guidelines to get to reopening. The big ones obviously are the decline in positive cases, decline in hospitalizations, and the further lightening of restrictions by the governor and the mayor. So we're excited to have that. Obviously, masking to remain in place, and I said, like all the other things. Programs will remain virtual, no meeting rooms, social distancing, everything that we had back before we closed back in November. So we're excited to get open. We're glad the numbers are where they are and they're trending the way they're trending. Along that is kind of the next question, is obviously the big next step in our journey through this experience is obviously the vaccine. As of right now, the library as a city department doesn't have a specific date or time frame for library staff getting vaccines. Certainly, the city is following state guidelines in terms of the phases. And they're currently in phase 1A. But what we're telling them through city admin and HR is that if any library staff person has underlying health conditions, that they should be in contact with their primary health care provider to look at that opportunity for a sooner vaccine than the city's line. So that's where it's an evolving situation, obviously based on the availability of the vaccine, and that's so the city's following what the state has laid out in that regard. So we don't have any hard timeline for library staff getting vaccine. But again, all mitigation measures that we had in place that were successful when we were open previously will be enforced as we go forward. I guess I'll answer any questions about reopening specifically.
Anyone have any questions for Tim?
This is Whitney. I do have a question. I have children, and a lot of people with tiny kids are wondering if the wiggle room will be open or if that's still closed.
We are going to have the wiggle room remain closed at this time. Obviously, we'll continue to monitor the situation. We kind of see it as a meeting room, as kind of a high touch situation, and would not. We're trying to do this in phases. So, as of the 25th, the wiggle room will be closed.
Okay, thank you. I can let people know.
Sure.
What about the bookstore, Tim? Is that open?
In my discussions back and forth with the friends, they're happy to get it reopened as of the 25th. They're excited to have that opportunity to sell their books. So they're working on getting that back open. And so, yeah, they were happy to hear that we're reopening on the 25th.
Okay, and then my last question about reopening is what about the cafe?
No, not as of the 25th. We're still in kind of the of our phases, one being zero zilch, nada, just curbside, kind of where we are, to 2 where we're just keeping all mitigation, and then 3 where, we're all vaccinated to a point where we feel safe. I would see the cafe being a phase 3 kind of situation at that point.
Got it. Well, thank you for the update. And I think it's really awesome that we're able to maintain some of those programs that you guys have developed over this pandemic and had to be innovative and creative and have found that people really get a lot of value out of those programs and alternative options. So I think that's great that we're going to be keeping some of those long term.
Oh, absolutely. You get a lot of positive feedback, but the numbers don't lie. I mean, every single story time, every single craft, they just go off the shelves. People come in and just take them. So it's one of those things, if you can't keep it on the shelf, then must be a good thing. So certainly want to go forward that way.
Yeah, kudos to you and the staff for coming up with some great things for people to do despite being at home or in quarantine. So does anyone have any other questions or comments for Tim regarding the reports? Okay, let's move on to item number 5, unfinished business. Looks like we don't have any of that. Item number 6 is new business, and we have an overview of outreach services.
Yeah, and before we have Pam Straight with us virtually. She's the head of outreach and volunteer services. I think out of as much as the situation has impacted the entire library, I think none more than the outreach services, which, as you all know, was essentially moving library materials out to retirement and other living facilities, which obviously early on became an impossible kind of thing. And I give Pam and her staff all the credit in the world to kind of, as you were saying, Mary, kind of evolving and coming up with very creative ways to serve that population. So without further ado, I'll let Pam Straight talk about everything what 2020 did, what to outreach and what they got going on. So thank you, Pam. Take it away.
Thank you, Tim. Can everybody hear me? I am having laptop issues, so I'm just on the off chance that you can't, wave at me or something. Otherwise, I'll assume I'm okay. Awesome. So in 2020, Outreach offered a number of programs. Our regular quarterly program, which we've been doing for a couple of years now at our partner sites, was a big hit. We really only got one program in the first quarter this year. Ciao Italia was a travelogue with lots of pictures and a PowerPoint presentation and samples of regional food. A total of 282 patrons at our partner sites participated. They're loving our quarterly program. We can't wait to get back to them. Of course, with the onset of the pandemic, our programming had to evolve. So since we were unable to offer our 3 remaining quarterly programs, we looked for creative ways to connect with our folks. We started by calling all of our outreach patrons for a chat. It took several months to reach everyone, but people were really happy to hear from us. We anticipated some of the questions that they might have. When's the library going to reopen? How do I access ebooks? What's happening with the summer reading program? But we were also prepared to just talk, and I have to say that I think we probably enjoyed it. Our staff enjoyed it just as much as our patrons did. I think a lot of us were just hungry for contact. In June, we started offering just basically an old school programming, dial a story. We advertised to our partner sites. 350 patrons called the phone number 298-6927 to hear different offerings. We had 3 different choices. You could press 1, 2, or 3 and hear a story, a poem, or a Shakespearean monologue. And we had new content added every Monday, or not added, but replacing the old content. This year, we are so excited. We've added a 4th line for children's stories. So in 2021, we look forward to starting some new programming, a Reminisce program, which is a conference call where our residents at our partner sites can share memories on different topics each time. The first one coming up this week is pets. We think that'll be a big hit. We're looking at starting in February a Pen Pals program between teens and seniors. And we're looking at perhaps a virtual book club for our partner site residents. And right now we're talking about no contact site delivery starting sometime in February. It's not nailed down yet, but that's happening. We're also working on a books by mail program, which we hope to get kicked off as soon as all of our supplies arrive. And we're pretty excited about that.
So if anybody has any questions for Pam.
Awesome.
I don't have any questions, but I do have some comments. I just, hearing all those really interesting and varied ways to get, not only the library out to the community, but then to connect people with the library as well as with one another. It sounds really neat. So hats off to you guys, because that's a really important thing to do, especially with the audience that you guys reach. So it's neat. It's neat that you can do all those cool things.
Thank you, Mary. I'm going to disappear from the meeting, but I wish you guys the best. It's good to see your faces.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
Okay, well, that was neat to hear. Next item then is statistical reports, December usage.
Yes, per your packet, you can see kind of where we are. Of course, it's kind of year end with all the impacts, pretty straightforward there. In terms of, though, circulation, I would point out the bright spot being, of course, on the second page of the circulation report, looking at the e-content, you can see we had an increase over 2019 of almost 48,000 more items checked out in terms of e-content, which represents almost 31% increase over the previous year. And we did a lot to try and make more e-content available. The hoopla you see there in the line, that is a very specific e-content platform. It's cost per use, and it's strictly for City of Fargo residents. And we initially, because it's cost per use, it's kind of an unknown on the budget end. But we looked at it, we bumped that up to 10. And it was, folks were taking advantage of that because we knew we had to find ways to have more e-content available, and certainly put more resources towards the purchase of e-content over the course of 2020, and certainly looking out that for the near future. So while a lot of the other stuff is pretty obvious in terms of the impacts based on closure and limited and the kind of the curbside limitations, e-content was the one bright spot there in terms of annual circulation.
Any questions? Okay, let's go to the financials.
Yes, you have the 2020 donation summary. You see we received the $3,110. That was from 3 individuals. $600 of that was from a very long time and generous patron, Artist Holland. And we also received $2,500 from the Lee Martell Trust and $10 from Eric Oberoi. On the expense side, the other money there that you see in terms of grants, that was from the Park District, the $4,263. That was the Park District portion to put in the story walk that gets expended under the expense on the bottom there. So it was kind of part of our relationship with Park District to get the story walk in. And I must say that I live right down by that park, and I, on a cold, windy day, managed to get out there, and it's a very substantial set of signs. It's you can't miss it. And having been to that park many times, that is it's a very, very busy park during the summer, and it's exciting to have that we have a presence right there. That's exciting. The other on the expense side, you can see the $609. A portion of that, the $285.28, was the expend money from a Rotary donation for buying books. And the other portion, the $324.12, was from the Friends for the purchase of the Northern Narrative copies for the final books for that. So thank you, Friends. And as I mentioned, the $4,263 was the payout for the story walk per the Park District. So that's that in terms of donations. In terms of operating summary, operating summary down to the end. The number that you see, even though it says 100% of the year lapse, there is also a 13 period that will be applied to the 2020 budget. And so the number there of $270,582, with what we estimate to be the 13th period applied to that, we'll have less than $70,000 remaining in the 2020 budget. In the past, we've attempted to, utilize as much as we can to get close to kind of an even Steven kind of situation. But given the revenue impacts on the city and discussions at city administration and various blocking of lines, we weren't as aggressive, knowing that that's part of the situation that the city's in financially due to 2020. So all Son and Dead, we're looking under 70,000. We estimate that'll be left over from the 2020 budget. In terms of revenue, you can see there just under 17,000 total for 2020 in terms of revenue. So if anybody has any questions in that regard.
This is Whitney. I have a question kind of based on something you said at the last meeting. I think you were meeting with the finance committee to open up some marketing dollars. Did that happen? Was that accurate? Did I remember that right?
Right. Right. We're not in it. Every budget line for 2021 is open as allotted. So no lines are frozen. So we're good to go.
Okay,
So
that was it. Thank you.
The 70,000 that's left over from the 2020 budget, that goes back to the city then?
Correct. That just rolls back to the general fund.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone? Okay, well, we have next on the agenda the Friends of the Library report.
Well, they're excited to get their store back open and knowing that we'll be selling books also at the branches as well. And they're still working on their website, so they're staying busy.
Sounds great. I will make sure to frequent the bookstore when I get there. I always find good stuff and inexpensive. Is there any public for the public comment period?
No public present.
No public present. Okay. All right. Well, then our next regular meeting is February 16th. And this meeting is adjourned.